5 to 10 minutes. I expect the rest of the people who are from the group to complement the presenter if needed. But also I would like to ask the rest of you if you could provide some questions. I will also then reflect at the end on the presentation of the work.
Yep, it does. And to be honest, I have no idea why I should be talking about this stuff, because actually it's about number of women completing the bachelor's degree by 20%. I mean, do I look like a feminist to you? Probably not. So there are like 6 girls in our group and me, and I kind of was forced physically and mentally to do it. So never mind the content and stuff. Anyway, our target is to increase the number of women completing the bachelor's degree by 50% by 2020. Excellent. By the way, we are doing all in the big kind of structure of human capital. And as you know, education is a kind of big, really grandiose part of human capital, and arguably if you have no education, you have nothing. So this is kind of the broad structure. So yes, here's the target, increase the number of women. Why? I have no idea. But completing the GA by 50%. So here's the indicators, how we're going to, what's the indicators of this target or what we're going to do. So the first one is, well, kind of very easy and simple one, is the number of women with secondary education. Because if you have no school education, you obviously cannot go to university. So it's main, well, kind of prerequisite for doing it. Secondly, is always kind of very simple indicator. Hi all. By the way, hi mom, hi dad. Number of women enrolled and completed the bachelor's program. As you know, usually sometimes, I don't know, say 100 women enrolled to education, but it means nothing in terms of how many of them are going to complete it. So it is important to actually see what the completion rate is, because women can, I don't know, change their minds, they can be not clever enough to do it, they can have children, they can change their mind or whatever. Third, our indication that we have chosen is a number of grants, scholarship, fellowship available for the women. So basically it's kind of what are the actual opportunities for women to study at university. Is there any grants, any schemes, any loans, any all these kind of opportunities for them to go to university and study there. Next indicator will be the physical, the actual availability of educational institutions. It could be accommodation, whether they have somewhere to live. It could be the availability of the institution itself, whether it's, well, if there is no institution in my city, can I travel to a different one? If I travel to a different city, is there any accommodation for me where I'm going to live? And is there any transport? If it's not far away, how can I travel back and forward to the education and organization? So infrastructure and the availability of the institution itself is very important. And kind of maybe a bit of related to grant, scholarship, and fellowship is the last one, is a number of online and part-time courses for women to study. So, factors of success. First of all, if you have good education, kind of logically there is increased opportunity in employment. Better education, better employment, kind of straightforward correlation. Successful factor also would be an increased number of educated children, because if a mom educated or dad educated, then there is more chance that their children are gonna have got good opportunities to be educated as well. Obviously, as a result, well, with employment opportunities are better and well-paid jobs. So it's kind of a better job, higher status, public, private sector, not government sector, whatever. And if you usually, if you have the better education, you have the more salary. For example, in public sector, quite often you have a condition to have, say, higher education to go to this position, and the higher your education, the more salary you'll get for it. Next one is breaking employment ceilings. So more women in high status, prestigious jobs, leadings, managers, some, I don't know, somewhere in parliament, in the government, ministry, whatever. Next one will be Also increase number of women in the private sector and public, well, private sector, public sector, whatever. Greater visibility in public discourse, so to actually have some say in public debates, in some agreements, in some strategic or whatever debates. And the last one, the last success practice which we thought is important is increased number of entrepreneurships among women. So there are some threats, obviously, to increasing starting. One is having children. So obviously if you, I don't know, you're 20, you're at university and studying and everything is fine and fantastic, but then suddenly you have a child. Here you go. So she has to choose between care for a child and go to university. I suppose most women, I hope that most women will choose a child because there are many priorities in university. So it can be a threat. It can be a threat for actually completing the university program. Well, no money, economic pillar of sustainability, human development, basically no money to get to education because I'm not sure about, well, in many countries higher education is quite expensive, from $1,000 and higher. Some social, political tensions, if there is a war, or if there is some civil war, or if there is some, I don't know, riots, political instability, it can be difficult to actually, spend 4 years in university. Some can be due to cultural restrictions. For example, in some societies it can be seen that the woman's role is in the kitchen. Please cook, please care for your children, please care for them, please, I don't know, please your husband, but please don't go to university, it's not yours. Man is for university and job, breadwinner, and women are for kind of kitchen job and household and stuff. So there can be some cultural barriers and restrictions. And one other press factor is that they actually finish the university and everything is fine and fantastic, but then, as a result, for some reason, whatever it is, they don't use their knowledge and skills. For example, they finish the university, have their certificate and diploma and everything is great, but then they have, I don't know, 3 children and they stay at home and again, child bearing and all this stuff. So, kind of, this is a threat. That they do it, but actually there's no outcome with it. They have education, but then nothing happens. And that's pretty basic class. Thank you for attention. Any questions? Yep.
I have several.
Right.
I have several questions. First, can you come back to the slide with indicators?
Sure.
So today we were mentioned that what is the difference between raw statistic and indicator. So indicator should be relative number or something. For example, I can see like a number of online part-time curriculums to what? Okay, we can see like, let's say we have 20 or among what? So it's like raw data, okay, but how you will interpret it? It's the same as number of grants, scholarship, fellowships available for the women.
Yeah.
I mean, to the number of all who enrolled or whatever.
Well, I suppose it depends on the amount of, or the number of grants or part-time people at the moment. So we kind of didn't put in any numbers because kind of imaginary whatever country. But say we have 10 now, so we should have, I don't know, 5 times 50 online courses and stuff, or 50 grants, scholarship, fellowship available for women. Or in terms of grants, it could be kind of at least the same number of grants for women as there are for men.
Right, yeah, that's what. Right. Okay.
I just we didn't include any particular number, but it obviously depends on the existing situation.
Yeah, okay, that's
so
what I mean. Yeah, it should be like to the, let's say, to number of women who enrolled or something, because the raw data will give you nothing, in fact.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say this year 10, next year 20, but it should be related to the something.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
okay.
It could be as 50 or twice more than in the previous year, or related to the number of women participating. Yeah.
Okay, then another question is from where will you get this data, and what is the what time you collect? In a month, in a year, or periodic?
You mean what number of women?
No, the period you collect, the frequency of collection.
I suppose it will be once a year. Yeah.
Right, and another thing, that can you come back to the slide of success?
I have hold on, I have a question concerning to this.
Yeah.
Don't you think you face some problems while collecting information for the fourth indicator, because you definitely have to disaggregate women and men, and how are you going to calculate this transport infrastructure? What it means? How many people? How many women has cars? Or
We can basically make a survey.
I can help with that.
Right.
In terms of accommodation, usually in informal institutional accommodation, like in reality, women with children are not given accommodation. You have to seek an alternative accommodation outside the home. Then in terms of transportation, women that have, if more women have cars and they can put their children in cars while going to school, then it could help out. We can equally disaggregate the number of women that have children by just sharing the questionnaire. Then in terms of infrastructure, even availability of simple things as computers, or being able to own a computer could be disaggregated, but you could, by sharing simple questionnaires and the students in school fill it, you can get the data from, raw data from that.
But how often are you going to do this? Every 1 year, or like it just requires lots of time? I mean, those indicators can be collected like in a short time, and those like.
Actually, is there any budget for data collection process?
No, but they're going to propose it to the government and get some budget, some unallocated.
And another question was about the next slide. I think it was about what factors will help you to achieve success. In fact, you like showed instead you pointed just outcome.
Yes,
Yeah, okay, it will be increased employment opportunities, of course. But what factors will help you to achieve this?
What factors? It will be money allocated for this stuff. It will be help from the government, help from non-governmental organizations in terms of providing the information for women that there are such and such course, such and such part-time online course, and there is money for that, there are such grants, such a. So it will be kind of participation of all sectors, private sector, government, non-government sector.
It's the theory, it's not specific. I think I understand your question, but because, for example, like factor will be scholarships for women, yes, and then the number of
yes, and then yes, the number of available scholarships, number of available part-time courses, and number of money allocated to sponsor women education.
Okay.
Anyone else? Yes, please.
I'm just wondering whether these two points would be helpful as part of the indicators. If you look at some of the, almost all of them, they are in absolute terms.
Yes.
Yeah.
To make it easier.
No.
It's not easy.
But
They
you
will
can-
not show you anything.
You can also relate it in terms of the, how do you call it, male.
And you mean
situation.
man-woman
For example,
ratio?
yes, male-female ratio. You could also capture that as
Yes, we
as an indicator, but all these things are just on women. But computing the male-female ratio at that level can also indicate.
Yes, one of the reasons for that is because we don't want to men compete with women or women compete with men.
No, you want to see the change.
Yeah, now we want to have change in absolute number. We have 100 women with higher education now, and we want to have it 1,000 in the next 5 years. So now we are not about
Among how much?
competing.
I mean, among how many women? Okay, women. You can, 100 today, let's say 100 who had bachelor degree among 1,000 whatever population.
Yeah.
And this is okay, this is indicative, somehow you can compare, but if you just provide the raw data, it should be relative all the time.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
obviously
okay.
we need to include whole picture.
So you agree it should be raw or it should be relative?
No, we start with the absolute numbers, but obviously then we need to
Yes, yes.
take into consideration all this stuff.
Please save your ammunition for 2 more presentations.
I do understand I'm like one of the core males here, and you want to get a lot of attention from me, yes, but that's also true. Sorry, yes, please.
Last one.
Since you don't have targets for each indicator per se, the question is, are each of these indicators
Well, I think the most priority given to completion, number of women completed bachelor's program. Is a kind of the most significant one.
Each of these indicators has a target of 70%, right? Because you have only one target, no?
Yeah, the target is 15. Yes.
And no specific target for each indicator. So it means that the weight of this indicator, the target of each indicator, to the total target is equal to 0, right?
Yes.
So I would just conclude that. Thank you for presentation. First of all, this was a very good comment about the number using the absolute term. It really doesn't give almost any information. If we define the target as increase the number of women, we should always relate it to something. So increase the number of women who completing bachelor's degree among the women in, I don't know, age group this and this. As for indicators, really the last comment was very good. Why do you need to have so many? What does this indicator, number of online part-time curriculums, tell you about whether you achieve or whether you are achieving the target of increasing the number of women completing the bachelor's degree? Yes, this could be a factor of success which could help to achieve the target. This could help or prevent from achieving the target, physical availability of educational institutions. Number of grants could be also a factor of success, but not necessarily, I wouldn't use it as an indicator to monitor the progress towards achieving the target. When it comes to the success factors, actually you were asked to think about the factors which could help to achieve the target, not about what the target helps you in the future. So yes, it is all true that if you have higher education, all these things are true, but we were asking about what can help you to get this education. And in that sense, I think this would be really like some of the success factors. And then with the threat factors, I would have a question just about this because it is not related to what could help or prevent from achieving the target, but it is about the use of, it goes beyond the target. So what you do when you achieve this bachelor's degree. But anyway, as an exercise, quite good, except for missing these success factors. But thanks a lot. Another one?
Next group?
Next group?
For example, on that last point about not using knowledge.
Group C, Sustainable Human Development in Times of Austerity, and we have chosen the topic or problem youth unemployment, since this is an immense problem in times of austerity, because there is no job creation or very few, and people with no professional experience are not so much welcome in the job market. We are in Accent. We gave you the context, population 2 million, youth 500,000, so we are a very young country. And the youth unemployment rate in 2012 was 70%. You will see the next slide. So we set a very ambitious target to increase the youth employment from 20% to 70% by 2012. And the indicators will be the percentage of unemployment and the employment amongst youth. We would like to have a look at both the officially registered unemployed but also the employment ratio, because we thought that there might be some discrepancy between the two indicators. Then the youth employment growth, the percentage of the youth employment growth, and the percentage of new startups by youth, so small and medium enterprises, and the percentage change of youth income level. And I give the floor to you.
Yeah. So the next question is, by what mechanism will you be able to know whether you are succeeding or failing? So that brought us to this slide. And then you realize that it is very important to ensure that you have adequate and very reliable information or data that you can use to measure progress. So on this note, we agree that then it will be very important to organize statistical data by several techniques. And then the first technique would be to conduct interviews. And you agree with me that interviews are very, very important because it allows you to sit, face to face, to interview people and then collect the data. There is one musician in my country who says that face to face is better than 1,000 letters because you can write letters to people, but at least if you read them and to interview, it will help. Another technique would be to undertake observation. Here you are there to watch and see the youth engage in the various jobs that we're talking about. So observation answers the question of what we normally say, seeing is believing. So aside the interviews, you can also use observation as a technique. And then also you can consciously set up or commission studies. Ask people to go out there and then conduct some special studies to find out how many youth are employed today, how many youth are not employed, and even in terms of gender, you can do that. And the last technique or approach would be to embark on surveys. Surveys will require you designing some studies where you can use questionnaire and so on to collect information. Thank you.
I will continue for success factors. First one is funds for incubators. These are places where youth can be trained to start their own business. That's the promotion of small and medium enterprises. Another one is reducing taxes on income of youth. This means that if some organizations accept more youth people, they can have some advantage in terms of paying taxes. And support from the government to youth for getting jobs after graduation according to the specialization they get. This includes also skills development and capacity building. And three most important threats. High level of youth migration. So if we have high levels of migration in terms of austerity, we will not manage to get our target. Another one is unfriendly business environment. As we already mentioned about startups and about small and medium enterprises, so this concerns about that point. And the third one is on sustainability of government policies on youth employment. This is if there are some changes in government, some revolutions or policy changes, so another government can not continue the policy which is concentrated on youth. That's all. Thank you very much.
Questions?
Questions.
Or maybe we will, because we actually did the same topic, maybe we will do it combined.
Okay, let's do full presentation and.
That's a good idea.
mentioned. This is a little bit the same as, all the same as was also mentioned, but of course there will be points that are different from the first presentation. So let's start. Our target is youth, and let's start from situation analysis. What problems we have is the highest rates among females or males. We mean the inequality of employment among male and female. Situation of disabled groups, I guess you understand what it means. Not enough job, high unemployment, and also structural causes. Now, in one sentence, our problem is unemployment among high school and university graduates in Youthopia region. Okay, so what is our goal? Of course, our goal is to reduce youth unemployment, as you guessed, and our target group is fresh graduates from 18 to 24 years, but not only, as there are people who become students like later or sooner, so this is not the exact number, but we took to measure among this group. And now our target is to increase employment among the target group by 10% by 2015. You got one? Yeah. And now our monitoring plan, how to monitor progress. Our indicators will be number of young people employed between 6 months to 12 months after graduation, and employment rate will, employment rate. And the mechanisms will be partnership with private business, coordination with civil society, and improving referral mechanisms. What's the next step is collection of data. Can you go on?
We'll be to look at all these factors. We look at the way how we collect the data. At the Utopian, we have in our Utopia land, we have an employment office, so we'll go there and we look at the data. Yeah, I wish I was there. And then we'll even have a monthly collection of data in order to assess whether, in order to have a proper updated version of how students are being employed or not. And there can be certain factors of success. We do not, because it's in a hypothetical situation, we do not know everything. But then it is that the factors of success for us, as per our previous ways of incorporating the civil society groups, the private players, and better referral mechanisms, we hope that our education system will get better, and we'll have youth which is prone to exposure. It will be experimental. We plan to have vocational internships, again with collaboration with the NGOs and private players, which is followed up in the which will be followed up later on. We have partnerships with private sector, and as they would be happy to get the best students, which would be free of charge, and we'll coordinate with the civil society organization. We think that there will be certain sort of problems and resistance to it. First would be corruption and nepotism. Favoritism can always be there, and even within the universities, students who are favored would be placed, which might exclude the marginalized or the less exposed. Then, interesting point was made about the local and regional elections is that during these election time, our time period is very short, it's 3 years. During this time we have elections, the priority because of elections might shift, and it might pose a problem to our program. And another thing is that the market is very dynamic, and we'll have to be very up to date with technology and skills so that we meet up to the requirements of the market. Yeah, and prepare the youth. And thank you.
Questions? To both groups now.
Yeah.
So we invite the second group also to.
So whatever is missing in our group, I'm sure the others have complemented it. Teamwork.
Sophia, you take the question. Sophia?
I would like to ask from the last group that how are people with disabilities or youth interact more? They were mentioned in the beginning, but however...
It was a situation analysis of everything that can be there.
There
is a problem.
Disabled people.
And yeah, Liana would like to add on. Sorry. So,
Gedra. Switch the light on.
Diverse problems, we
Lights.
one. You have to say that there are no other problems, but it's just, so after this university it will come out whether it's females who suffer most, or the male groups, or it's the disabled categories, or, so basically based on this we will have more targeted and more specific programs, but since we don't have situation analysis and we didn't target it for this case, we kept it a bit more general. Because usually that's the case, right? You need to have a study to know which way to go. So that's what we were.
Yeah, but from the results from the study, we wanted to know anything about, for example, people with disabilities, because a very small ratio can graduate from university and maybe even if 90% of them start an entrepreneurship, it doesn't mean that it's a good ratio. Or do you believe
The idea is that, for example, we have done situation analysis. We find, for example, that the unemployment rate is higher among females, among disabled people, etc. When we say a 10% increase, we want to equally weigh it among the groups. So 10% increase including females, including disabled people, so have a fair policy for this increase in employment.
I have a question, yes, to your group. You was mentioned about one of the mechanisms that is interview. Can you please just again to point what exactly the information you want to get? So how many people you plan to interview and for what actually? You just want due to this interview to find out the main problems, what is going on the market?
You know, the idea is to ensure that the youth gain employment. So you have government institutions that are established to support that. You have civil society organizations that also play a significant role to employ the youth. And even you have community members, individuals, who are all interested. We call all of them as stakeholders. So if you start the program now, and after some number of years, like 20 years, you want to establish whether you are making gains or not, you can interview all these people. You sample them, the government institutions, civil society organizations, and even local level key players. You can interview them. So by interviews, we are trying to say that you want to scientifically measure, okay, with guided questions, whereby you have to find out from the institutions that provide the jobs, from the civil society organization that provide the job, to what extent they know about the number of youth who are gaining employment in the system.
So stakeholders.
Stakeholders, yeah, the key stakeholders.
So are you saying that through questionnaires,
Volume.
are you saying that through questionnaires you are going to interview both direct and indirect beneficiaries of the project? So what is the link of the indirect beneficiaries of the project? Because usually the questionnaires for surveys tackle those who are direct beneficiaries. What is the link of indirect
Well, it depends on your study objective. If you really want to ensure that, because if you zero down to only direct beneficiaries, without including the indirect, sometimes it can even bias your findings. So for you to avoid what we call randomization or so, whereby your results will not be biased, it's better to look at those who are directly participating in the project and those who are not directly participating. You have the views crossed together.
Other questions? Exhausted?
I told you to save the ammunition for that. Come on, now we have so many people eager to reply to your questions.
Majority of the people are from two groups, that's why.
Okay, thanks a lot. Just few reflections on the employment unemployment issue. If I note it down, in this group, your goal is to reduce youth unemployment, but the target is to increase the employment.
Sorry, it's a technical mistake. It's my fault. The goal is to increase the... no, wait, there's no technical mistake.
So you want to reduce youth unemployment through increasing the employment. Which is
it should be changed. It should be replaced with reduce employment or increase employment.
So I'm not sure whether you want to increase the employment or decrease the unemployment.
It's supposed to be increase employment.
You would be surprised that the employment rates and unemployment rates are not summing up to one.
Why? Yeah.
Unemployment rate is calculated as the number of unemployed people out of labor force. Labor force is consisting of unemployed people and employed people. So, employment rate is calculated as share of employed people in the age group, in the working age group population.
Yeah.
So, surprisingly, unemployment rate plus employment rate doesn't sum up to one.
Sorry, just we started with thinking about reducing unemployment rate, but then we changed the topic, and that's the part which I had to retire, but I didn't. So I'm sorry for this confusion.
So
it's supposed to be increase
the employment. Okay. So then the indicator having the indicators are okay. Employment rate, but using if your target is to increase the employment. Information about the unemployment rate doesn't actually tell you about whether you are going towards your target of increasing the employment or not. So I think it was the case of the second group where we had the percentage of unemployed and employed amongst youth. So I will be focusing just on the percentage of employed among the youth as the indicator for monitoring the progress. I didn't understand why there is this indicator. What does it have? Okay, it is telling about the quality of employment, but our target was to increase the employment. With whatever means, it could be to increase number of that youth would be digging the ditches along the roads. They would be employed, but the quality of work is different issue. Yeah. Yes?
Just help from your side. We were also thinking to include a qualitative indicator, namely how many graduates actually work in their field of interest or for whatever they were studying in school. And we realized it's qualitative and it doesn't help to our target. But if we would want to switch the target to measure both, how would it sound?
Listen, I was telling to some group that try to think about a simple target, not trying to capture broad areas. Okay, so the best is if the target, as it is formulated, is addressing one issue at a time. So if you want to capture, you were capturing now the quantitative part of employment, increase the employment rate. So in the indicators describing the progress vis-a-vis this target, you should not go to the issues which are not related to this quantity. you should not go to the issues related to quality of education. Also, the number of indicators is sometimes just one indicator which describes the progress vis-a-vis target. If you are defining the simple target. With this mechanism, how the data on how the labor statistics is being collected, just maybe to clarify again. Usually there are two measures or two ways of producing the labor statistics, through the surveys and through the registers, from the administrative registers. So administrative registers are being usually held at the employment agencies, and they are providing the information about the registered unemployment rate. The employment rate is being produced just by the statistical office, which is collecting the information about the number of employees in the enterprises over certain size, plus the self-employed. And the second one, this is from the forms which are being filled in by the employers. And the second one, which is produced by the statistical office, is so-called labor force survey, when the sample of certain size, I don't remember exactly what is the size, I think it is some 5,000 to 10,000 individuals across the countries, a representative sample is being interviewed on a regular basis, I think on quarterly basis, and from this we are getting the employment rate, unemployment rate as per the ILO definition of labor force.
But here is very important because it's ILO definition, right?
But it is okay. It is labor force type of employment.
Okay, but here we come to very interesting space where we have to define very clearly what we would like to measure and what kind of targets we would like to set. One thing we did a survey of Roma, and we had two types of questions because ILO definition is that they ask 3 questions basically. Did you work last week at least 1 hour?
1 hour for
paid job?
Pay?
If not, are you looking for job actively, i.e. applying to different position, registered on so on and so forth. And third, are you ready to take the job if it's proposed, right? So if you answer no, yes, yes, you are unemployed. Okay? And we asked them different questions. We asked them this set of questions, and then we asked them other question: what you were doing last week, and how you consider your status. And we found out quite interesting picture that many of them did day-to-day work. So they kind of find some small work to do and so on and so forth. But having done this work, they consider themselves as unemployed. While according to ILO definition, they are not unemployed. They worked at least 1 hour and that's why perceived unemployment status, perceived employment status, there could be quite different. That could be even more different in case of different genders. We did study on change of roles in migrant families in Moldova, and it's quite interesting how perception of migrated mother and father change, how they change perception of who is breadwinner in family. Okay?
So it is related to this.
Last but not least question, yes.
Statistical employment office.
Last but not least question is, if you have target to reduce unemployment of youth, you could open quite big channel of reduction of unemployment, simply push them to higher education institutions and keep them until they're not youngsters anymore, and they throw them to labor market.
Yes, and you have achieved your target.
And you cheat your target. That's why you should think, and on the other hand, if you shift to this employment definition, that again could be job in McDonald's is job, you are employed. But is it accumulation of human capital? Or just temporary job you take to get pocket money?
Come on, you have a career path also in McDonald's.
Okay, maybe. I never worked in McDonald's, but I'm a judge.
But then who is youth? Because we actually define youth as people under the 35 years old.
I think
Not
usually youth is defined
39.
25. No,
It's really because it's that
still
youth.
35, but it's 3 ranges.
Yeah, but we made the research and tried to define the age group, what different organizations defined as youth, and it's really big differences, let's say from countries to countries, and the last one what we found is from 14 to 29 is by international, I think it is
UNFP.
European Union.
And UNFP.
But youth program in EU is under the, you can apply below 35. Yes.
Okay, so how to go around it? To define the age group instead of just using youth population. Or we say to increase the youth employment rate, and after youth we put into brackets the age category which we have in mind. And then it is clear, and we are not running into this issue whether which of the age group are we addressing. I found one interesting factor of success. Yes. And what came to my mind about these taxes, that we need to also think whether the effects of that measure would be visible within the time frame of validity of our target. Because reducing taxes. So what you need to do, you need to adopt the legislation. You cannot do it in the running tax year. If you are running on January, December financial fiscal year, then you can adopt the legislation only starting from the next year. The tax reduction of taxes will reflect only in the next tax reporting period, which is 2 years from now. You can start seeing first fruits of this particular measure.
Yes, but it's just a clarification, because I think maybe it's not completely clear what we meant. So what we meant is like more to give subsidies in form of tax reduction for companies to as an incentive to employ youth for 3 years, so youth can get some professional experience, and the companies maybe.
Yes, I know, but the effect of this you can see only if the run of this tax reduction is completed.
Long and short.
Because, for example, you made the tax reduction to the company if it employs the person for 3 consecutive years, for example, or keeps the position for youth for 3 consecutive years. In the first year and the second year, we will see quite high rate of youth employment, but in the third year, we might see a drop, and then actually all the money from this measure. So the companies would not have this tax relief because they wouldn't keep this 3 years period. And after 3 years period, we could witness quite a sharp decrease of the employment rate, because there was this condition of keeping it only for 3 years. And the lifespan of the businesses is very often not somehow exceeding these 3 years, the life period of how long the companies are existing, except for the big ones, perhaps. So what I wanted to say is just that we need to also think about the measures which could be, the effects of which could be seen within the period which we defined as the period for achieving the target. Yeah? Thank you for attention, for participating actively during the whole day. I hope you to leave today with few things. One about the local level, local development, and the need to have very broad stakeholders consultations and involvement in developing any kind of local level policies. On MDGs, that the MDGs is not the rocket science. Have in mind that it is this stick which makes the donkey moving instead of the feed for the donkey. And from this exercise, please try to remember at least that the formulations of not only of targets, but the formulations in the policy documents and policies must be fairly clear. Not fairly, but should be 100% clear and unambiguous, so that it is possible to see whether those policies achieved what was expected when they were decided. Thank you very much one more time.